I think there have been something like 38 Harry Bosch books that Michael Connelly has wrote. And up until this one, he had written 6 Lincoln Lawyer books. Now, in the last few years, he's had Harry Bosch show up in a few Lincoln Lawyer stories. And I don't recall, but I think he had Mickey Haller, the Lincoln Lawyer, show up in a couple of Bosch books. But now in this one, what he's done is pull the 2 of them together. And the way it works is this, that Haller has hired Harry to be an investigator for him. And Harry Bosch did it because he wanted to get into a certain medical insurance program. So anyway, the story has to do with Haller trying to get somebody that they think is innocent out of prison. And the way it works is that the combination of having these 2 guys in the same book really enhances the pacing and the experience of reading the book. Makes it very interesting, because what happens is when you're in the Haller part of the story, the Lincoln Lawyer part of the story, you're getting all kinds of legal ins and outs, courtroom tricks, the background on things like habeas corpus and so on. And when he flips over to Harry Bosch, you get into, police investigations. How do they do it? How do they go about it? Now, I had read someplace quite a while ago that Michael Connelly got a lot of material for his books about Harry Bosch by hanging out with cops. And I don't know whether he went to cops' bars, but I know that he met policemen from time to time, particularly guys in Los Angeles. And when he'd be able to get them to open up, they'd tell him, really interesting stories about how they do investigations and so on. And what he did was incorporate that kind of stuff into the Harry Bosch thing. Now, I assume that he did something similar with lawyers, talking to them about stuff that you're just not going to learn in law school. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that Michael Connelly could study and research as a journalist about what is the doctrine of habeas corpus, how does it work, and all that kind of stuff. But then the concept of what are the kinds of tricks that they're not going to teach you in law school, the kind of strategies and tactics that a lawyer can employ, I assume that he got that from practicing criminal lawyers. One way or the other, this book is terrific, and where you would think that he has kind of worn out the Harry Bosch story and hasn't quite worn out the Mickey Haller or Lincoln Lawyer stories, what he does is he really pumps brand new life into this thing. Now, I'm not going to give away anything about the plot or so on, except to say it has to do with freeing an innocent person from prison. The big question is, where do these 2 guys go from here? Because I think that what Michael Connelly did was to hit on a formula that makes these books very, very readable, very, very entertaining. And if you haven't picked up a Michael Connelly book in a while, I really think you ought to give this one a try. It's great. Now, I can't get off the subject of this book without saying that he's, in the book, the kind of theme that's in it is how difficult is it to take on the power of the state, the entire government, the entire justice system, and how tough is it for the little guy to do it? I think he's onto something there, but I don't think it's anything that's really unusual, anything that you or I or anybody else who reads the news is surprised by. Now, he does have some elements of police corruption in this thing, but we know that he's a fan of cops. And we also know, all of us who are fans of cops know that, you know, there are some bad apples in the thing, you know, in police forces. But for the most part, these are really good guys, heroes, guys like Harry Bosch. So anyway, Resurrection Walk, it's a good book, good story, well-paced, well-written, very entertaining, and to a certain extent, it gives you something to think about in terms of, you know, the bigger picture of the justice system. Anyway, that's my recommendation for this week. I think it is really, really outstanding. See you next week.